YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Geethers, aka Ethan, right back here with another video for y'all today. So, in this video, we are going to be talking about maybe the best point guard in the NBA, and that is Tyrese Haliburton. Now, I'm going to try to make the argument for him to be the best point guard in the NBA here. And do I think he's the best point guard in the NBA yet? No. But do I think he's the best true point guard in the NBA? I absolutely do so. He is this generation's Chris Paul. And we have a lot to dive into about this man and why he is one of the best point guards in the NBA and why he one day can be one of the best point guards of all time. So, if y'all could, like the video, subscribe if you're new. This is going to be going up on two channels, my Geethers channel and the Trey Ball podcast in the Ethan's Breakdown section. Okay? So, if you're watching it here on Geethers, go over to the Trey Ball podcast and like it up and subscribe over there. If you're watching on the Trey Ball podcast, go over to my Geethers channel and like it there and subscribe over there as well. I will also be having some other 2K content on the Geethers channel coming out in the next few days. So, you don't want to miss that. Some good stuff over there. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, Tyrese Haliburton. Let's just drop some stats here for y'all before we get started. So, Tyrese Haliburton on this season is averaging 26.3 points per game, 4.2 rebounds per game, 12.3 assists a game. So, we'll round down for him for now because it is below the 5. So, we'll go 26, 4, and 12. Okay? On 52% from the field, 44% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line. So, pretty much 50-40-90, just barely below on the free throw category. He is also has a 29 player efficiency rating, if you care about that, averaging around 4 win shares. And if you don't know what the win shares is, that's just an estimate of the number of wins contributed by a player. So that's pretty high up there. All right, and he has led the Indiana Pacers to the 5 seed currently, they have been in that top 6 realm all season, right? They've been in the top 4 realm a lot of the season. It's just they're at that 5 seed right now. Of course, those top 4 seeds, you have the Boston Celtics, Orlando Magic, Milwaukee Bucks, Philly above them as of today's date, which is the 12th of December. So, Indiana has been playing great basketball, and it's all on the back of Tyrese Haliburton. Now, when I say this, all on his back, obviously the rest of the team is good. I'm not saying they're not good, but they're going to be their only All-Star this year. He's going to be an All-Star starter this year as well. And my question in the title of this video is Tyrese Haliburton the best point guard in the NBA? And the reason I say that is because when you think about a point guard, right, traditionally what a point guard has been, he is doing that role to the best level out of everybody in the league. Now, obviously, you still have guys like Luka who plays point, right? Of course, Luka averaging absurd numbers this season, averaging a triple-double, if not a triple-double, very close. You have Steph Curry, of course, always putting up his good numbers. And, of course, you still got guys like Jalen Brunson out east, which I think he's definitely a better player than Jalen Brunson. But, you know, other guys like Damian Lillard. You still have De'Aaron Fox, his old teammate out west, who's averaging 30 right now on some crazy numbers, right? And then you got a couple other guys like Tyrese Maxey's been playing very, very good this season. You got Shea, of course, who's a PG over there in Oklahoma. You have even other guys that before this season people would argue was in his realm, like Jamal Murray, and that's around, you know, and Darius Garland, things like that. Which most of the guys I just mentioned, he is a lot better than, but as far as argument for the best point guard in the NBA goes, his only real competition, I feel like right now, is Shea, Luka, Dame, but I think he's been better than Dame as far as this season goes. Maybe even, probably not last season, but this season he's been better than Dame. But I'll throw Dame in that competition level. And then you got, so I said Luka, Dame, you got Steph, and Shea. Besides that, this season, I mean, I don't think there's been anybody else even near his level. You know, De'Aaron Fox has had a phenomenal season, so I could throw him in there as well. But I think he's better than De'Aaron Fox. So with that, he's definitely, in my opinion, already a bona fide top 5 point guard. Okay, and as far as the traditional point guard realm goes, I wouldn't call Steph Curry a traditional point guard. I wouldn't call. I could almost call Luka and Shea traditional point guards, but they're more of scorers than they are point guards, or scorers than they are playmaker, I should say. And then you got Dame, who is that dual threat type. He's more of a scorer as well. And Tyrese, he controls the game like nobody else. As far as the turnovers go, he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. And we've seen the crazy graphics. I'm sure everybody's seen the graphics on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, even things like that, to where he'll go multiple game stretches having 10 plus assists with 0 turnovers. That's absurd. On the season he's only averaging 2.5 turnovers a game, which in theory sounds like a lot, but really is not a lot for a guy who is dishing out 12.5 assists a game and who has the ball in his hands a ton. This offense is Tyrese Haliburton, right? He runs the show. And not only is he doing that, but he's on 50, 40, 90 shooting on 18 shots a game. People always joke around about the way his shot looks, but he knows how to put the ball in the hole, and even with his 3 balls, he knows how to shoot. He's a very, very elite shooter at this point. And I've been loving what I've been seeing from him, and I'm really looking forward to the things that come. But you could really make the argument that he's the best point guard in the NBA. And I really just wanted to make this video specifically to really highlight the things that he's been doing. He's also, as far as the Pacers go, right? Let me just give you a hint on where the Pacers are at. The Pacers are the number 1 offense in the NBA. Now, defense, they're the 27th defense in the NBA. But they are the number 1 offense in the NBA. And that is being carried on the back of Tyrese Haliburton. They score the most points in a game out of every other team in the league. They have the best pace in the game, and a big part of that as well, is Tyrese Haliburton. He likes to get the ball and go, especially with guys like Obi Toppin, and you got guys like Benedict Mathurin, and all these other guys that can really get out and go. And specifically Obi Toppin I mentioned because he's a guy he can throw it up to, and then Miles Turner is a guy that's going to get the rebound and get it to your guy, and he's like ready to go as well. And they have all these guys that really like to push the pace. Like I said, number 1 in pace, and the best offense in the NBA. Now, as far as playoffs goes, do I think this continue in the playoffs? Of course, the game slows down in the playoffs. So I could see this being a team to where they end up having a first-round exit, even if they're a top 4 seed. But I don't think that's on Tyrese Haliburton as much as it is on their defense and as much as it is on their play style, right? This play style is great for the regular season. But as far as playoffs goes, we don't really know yet, right? We'll have to wait and see. But from what I've seen so far from Tyrese Haliburton, I see this play continuing in the playoffs, right? In the play-in, he was on the all in-season tournament team, of course. I said play-in, I'm sorry. He was on the all in-season tournament team, and great to see from him. And if you really care about that in-season tournament team. But he's going to be a guy that's on an all-NBA team regardless, right? He's going to be an all-star this season. I think he'll be an all-star starter out east. I think he is the bona fide best point guard in the Eastern Conference for sure. His only competition really, I think, is Dame out east. And I think this season he's been way better than Dame. Way better might be a stretch, but he's been the best PG out there. And I think his play can continue. His last game, the championship game against the Lakers, wasn't his best game, but also the Lakers played an outstanding game. As much as I hate to say that, you see the jerseys in the back. But he's still in a game where it wasn't a great game. He still had like 20 and 12 on good efficiency. We would have liked to see him take a couple more shots because he's a guy that really he can get his own shot when he needs to, but he kind of takes what the defense gives him. He's looking to play make. He's not like Shea or Luka. Luka specifically, I use as an example. Luka is, in theory, a good playmaker, but he's not a guy who likes to play make. I wouldn't say he's not a guy that likes to pass. When you look at his game, he's a guy that looks to score and passes if he has to. Tyrese is the opposite around. Tyrese Haliburton is the complete opposite, where he's a guy that's going to be looking for the pass and looking for the playmaking, and he'll take the shot if he has to, and he'll make them. So, sometimes you want to see him a little bit more aggressive, but besides that, there's not many flaws in his game. He's not the best defender, of course, but it's not like he's Trae Young on defense. Not to throw shade at Trae Young, but he has the frame to be a good defender, and we don't expect him to be an all-NBA defender when he's carrying the offense the way that he does. So. I love what I've been seeing from Tyrese Haliburton this season. I expect it to continue as well, and I look forward to bigger and brighter things. On on the latest episode of the Trey Ball podcast, go watch it if you haven't. We were going over some things, and in that podcast, I said Tyrese Haliburton has potential to be a top 5 point guard of all time, and everybody else looked at me like I was crazy. But what do you think about it? If he can continue these stats, like I said, averaging 26, 26, 4 and 12 on the season. If he could continue the stats for another 10 years, because guys, he's only 23 years old. Only 23 years old, right? And if he continues his stats for another 10 years, I don't see why he can't be a top 10 point guard, because there's only two players locked in, top 5 point guard, because there's only 2 people locked into that top 5 slots. Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. Everybody else is arguable. A lot of people will argue IT, Oscar Robertson, Russell Westbrook, CP3, John Stockton, Jerry West. But when you throw names like that out there, not to say any of these players are bad or good or the best of the best, but there's plenty of movement in that top 5, right? So I don't see why he can't be a top 5 point guard of all time in 10 years, 10, 15 years, right? So I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. If you're not watching Pacers games, you are missing out, because they are probably my second favorite team to watch this season, and they had a crazy run in the play-in as well. I'm sorry, I keep saying play-in, in-season tournament. I wanted them to win it, but they ran into a Lakers team who was not going to lose that night. But like I said, love what I'm seeing from him. And if y'all did enjoy this video, y'all enjoy Tyrese Haliburton as well, leave him a comment down below. Like the video for me. Subscribe if you are new to either channel that you're watching this on, and go to the other channel, where that'd be the Trey Ball podcast or the Geethers channel that you might be seeing it on. And leave a like over there as well. Subscribe if you're new, and I appreciate you for watching. Peace.